I'm happy that you want to rent. Can I give you an application and you can rent from me because I know that you have good credit and a good job, and I would love to have you as a tenant and keep on paying my mortgage.
They're being bombarded, and we have to give them the real deal.
You don't have to have 20% down to buy a home. That's a myth out there that people still think is true.
That's our job, to make sure that we are educating ourselves, collaborating with our lenders, and thinking outside that box. That's what I love about non-QM.
It's really important to build the relationships because that's how people get to know you and trust you, because it's all about trust in our industry also.
What do I need to do, and who do I partner with to help us all, to elevate us all?
Turn that off and look at your reality.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar from A&D Mortgage. It should be a really interesting discussion that we're going to be having with some top realtors from the California market. We're going to be really discussing secrets that they have in terms of working with realtors and brokers together and helping home buyers. So we've got a wide range of areas we're going to cover. Let's go ahead and scroll forward. So we'll talk about a few areas related to homebuyer education, current state of the market, some technology issues. One of our panelists is having a technical issue, so she'll be joining us hopefully here in a few minutes. But in the meantime, if you have questions, do it throughout the course of this webinar. Please use the Q&A function down at the bottom. We've turned off everyone's microphones and cameras, just so we can have a clean picture. And we're also asking you guys, if you can, to just mute your cell phones or don't conduct business, so you can get the full advantage of the information we're going to be sharing with you guys today. If you've arrived late, we are recording this, so they'll be sending out a recording within about 24 hours or so, typically. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so for those people who may not be familiar with A&D Mortgage, we are one of the top nationwide lenders in the country. We are the #1 officially verified non-QM lender. That's both from Scotsman's Guide, as well as another one called NMP. We work with about 6,000 brokers nationwide. We've been in business for 20 years, again, predominantly wholesale B2B, working through mortgage brokers. We are licensed for the most part nationwide. We're just missing a couple states. And in some of those states that we don't have the license, there's about 40 of them where you can do investment purpose or business purpose loans with us. And then just the key component from this slide is that we have a sister company called Imperial Fund, which helps us with aggregating and securitizing our originated loans on the capital markets. There aren't a lot of non-QM lenders that do that, but there's some strengths to that, and I'll kind of talk about it in the wrap up. So let's look real quick in where we are licensed. As I said, nationwide, we're just missing places, and then the upper Midwest, and then Alaska and Hawaii. And again, we do predominantly wholesale, but we do have a retail and a correspondent component as well. And again, the business purpose loans in about 40 different states. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to ask each of the speakers to introduce themselves. Donelle, like I said, she's running a little late, so she'll jump in here when she is able. So Taffy, why don't you kick it off and everybody kind of go in succession and tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the industry, if there's any areas in particular in California or buyer types, housing types that you guys focus on primarily. That'll be great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Taffy Maurer, and I have been a realtor since 2011. I came out of education background there for 26 years before that. And I work, I have my own office with my daughter. We're co-managers of an EXP office in downtown Newcastle, which is in the foothills, Northern California, surrounding the greater Sacramento Valley. And I'm very honored to be here.
Great, thanks, Taffy. Alma?
everyone. I am so happy to be here with you and joining these wonderful ladies. I am from the San Diego, California, Southern California area. So basically a little bit about me. Prior to my becoming a realtor, I worked in the mortgage industry. So this is near and dear to my heart, collaboration with our lenders. And so I'm excited to be here and just kind of share some insights, but these ladies have some fantastic nuggets to share with you. So thank you for joining us.
Great, thank you. Sher, you want to go ahead? You're next.
Absolutely. Thank you. It is a real pleasure to be with you, and we thank you for this opportunity. I'm Sher Heard. My company, I have a brokerage with a couple of gentlemen. We have 2 offices. We are an independent brokerage. I've been in the real estate world for next year, it'll be 40 years, but that doesn't mean I'm old, but I guess I'm getting there. Been in different aspects of the business, but mostly selling real estate and then now in ownership management side of the business. So this is really exciting to be with lender partners because there's nobody better to work with in a transaction than a great lender partner.
Great, appreciate that. And like I said, Donelle will join us here hopefully soon. And then Rosanna, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rosanna Garcia, and me and my family own Garcia Realty, and we are a family real estate company in Sacramento, California, and we were established in 1968. And so I was basically born into the industry. So it's in my blood. I live, breathe it. I love it. It's, I think, the greatest industry to be in personally. And we're very, very excited to be here to share some insight from a realtor broker point of view. And, you know, like Sher said, it's so important to work with great lenders. And we're excited to have A&D Mortgage as part of our partnership. So thank you for having us, and I look forward to the program.
All right, great, thank you. All right, so we're gonna kind of turn over and go to a kind of round robin discussion. So I'll ask a question to one of you first, and then you guys can jump in as we finish the first person's answer. So first area we're going to kind of talk about is homebuyer education. There's been a lot of reports out over the last year or so that particularly millennials and Gen Z borrowers aren't as savvy as their parents' generations were when it comes to understanding the mortgage or the home buying process. So the question that kind of we formulated is, how can brokers and realtors effectively educate those borrowers about the home buying process, particularly in a competitive area like California, where you guys have bidding wars constantly?
Mm-hmm.
So Taffy, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, this is a great topic because it's about education, and that's what we are about as realtors. And working with our lender partners, so important that we work together to educate the Gen Z, the millennials, who clearly, I mean, especially some of these millennials, we know that half of them are still renting. And they're really subject to inflation, rental increases. They're subject to programming that basically says you've got to go in and have it all at all times. You have to have the latest car. You have to have this. I mean, they're programmed to almost not maintain a budget. We're trying to get them. I'm sure every lender out there starts shaking their heads too. Like, yeah, and that's and because we have to educate them on that programming. And I talk about, when I'm sitting down with these buyers and young or even a little bit, older than that, to point out to them what the programming is, to educate them so they can see outside of it, and talk about how, you don't have to have the latest car. You don't have to have all the toys. It's really more important really more important to build your generational wealth and not pay off somebody else's mortgage or landlord's mortgage instead of your own. And how you are subject to so much more subject to the economy. When you are a renter, you're much more subject to everything that's going on in the economy. Whereas homeowners, you got something to hunker down with. And so part of that education would come out with, the buyer, what's going on, throughout the United States with the NAR settlement. And it's just really sitting down and educating them even before we go out anywhere else to look at houses with, the buyer and broker agreement. But that is critical to, I feel, and it's worked for me to point out that I drove great little cars. They were all older. And because they were older, they were all they didn't have automatics. That's I'm dating myself. And so my clutches would go out. And since my clutches always went out, I had to learn to shift gears without a clutch. But guess what? I was able to buy my first piece of property at 22, because I just saved and saved. But we weren't programmed then to have to go in with a couch and all the beautiful furniture and have it. And the countertops must be granite or quartzite. You know what I mean? So that's the difference, to point out to them that education, that they are being programmed, and to get them out of that programming.
Great. Let's pause for just a second. Our additional speaker, Donelle, has joined us. Welcome. Donelle, you want to just we just started the first question, but if you want to take 30 seconds to do a quick introduction of yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll kind of jump back to the questions.
Hi, sorry for joining you guys late. I had another appointment that ran a little late, but I am Donelle DuFault. I am with A-List Properties, a broker associate here on the Central Coast of California.
All right, great. So what Taffy was just talking about is the first question we sent out to people about the process of trying to work with both realtors and brokers to help educate the Gen Z and Millennial home buyers. Not sure if one of the other ladies want to kind of jump in first and give you a little time to think about that, if you want to talk about that too. So whoever would like to speak next, Sher.
I have something that came to mind while Taffy was talking. We talk about building wealth, and I think the younger people probably, and it's not always younger people, but sometimes people aren't thinking about their home as a wealth builder. But it's proven statistically that a home is the greatest source of wealth, or real estate. I mean, multiple homes, and then you can turn that into investing in other things, not just property, but investing in, 401ks and investing in stocks and, other types of investments. But the first and primary, easiest and best way to build wealth for yourself and a family is through a home. So I think just educating people to that fact, that the place to start the wealth building process is with home.
Okay. I think somebody else was trying to say something. Am I wrong?
I just wanted to add to that. And I know, I was just going to say, I'm going to hand it to Rosanna, because her family, that's what they're all about, is building generational wealth. So that's fantastic. But I just wanted to hit really quick on the NAR changes that are coming that Taffy mentioned. It is important. I've always been, well, let me just say this. My mom was a teacher, so I will always be a lifelong learner. And the one positive thing that has come from that is that outlook of embracing change. So you prepare yourself to embrace that change by educating yourself so that you are well prepared to embrace that and make it a positive impact on our industry, because there's going to be a lot of eyes on us. We don't even realize it, but there are. So with that, I want to hand it over to Rosanna, because she can talk all day about generational wealth.
We still have a lot of questions though, so don't go
Okay.
too long.
I know. I just want to, address this because this is important for all of our lenders that are here today to get some insight. And one of the first things, and I know that they're faced with this issue with many clients and young clients, is that everybody wants to wait, right? We're going to wait. We're going to wait to purchase. And my answer to them, and what I advise the lenders to advise their clients, is, what are you waiting for? So if you have the income and the qualification to purchase a property, you got to buy. You have to buy when you're able to afford to do it. Not wait, not try to second guess the market, not think, oh, price is going to go down, interest rate's going to go down. You know what? I'm selling all day long to all the smart investors and purchasers that aren't up against all the competition right now.
Yep.
Because I tell everybody what's going to happen when the prices go down, the interest rate goes down. Everybody's going to jump in the game, and then you're going to be up against competition and you're going to pay more money. So what did it do for you to wait? And you know what? Your window of opportunity is a single hung window. It can only go up so much, but it keeps closing and closing and closing. And so if you want to make your pool this big of opportunity, then go ahead and wait. But I have everybody jump off the fence. The other thing, the best thing to say, and especially as a landlord, and we have a lot of property, is I like to say, you know what? I'm happy that you want to rent. Can I give you an application and you can rent from me, because I know that you have good credit and a good job, and I would love to have you as a tenant and keep on paying my mortgage. Guess what? They buy.
Good move.
So use that strategy. Call their bluff, you guys.
Yeah. All right, Donelle, you want to jump in on anything, or we want to jump over to another question?
Let's go on to the next question.
Okay. All right. Well, the next question, I'm going to actually pitch it over to Sher first, because I know this is an area she wanted to talk about. Obviously, housing affordability is it's a gigantic issue across the country. Are there any strategies that you guys have found that are effective in helping your clients overcome issues of housing affordability, especially in California? Do you find there are any specific programs or loan types that are helping them, such as, first-time homebuyer programs or conventional 3% downs, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. All of the things you just said. So first and foremost, going back to the education, this is an educational piece. Sometimes people don't realize where they are in the process. They hear all the noise and they're listening to all the, you've got to turn all that off. Everything you're hearing in the news, the affordability gap, the interest rate hikes, the, things are too expensive. Turn that off and look at your reality. That's the only reality that matters. What is your reality? Rosanna touched on it when she said, can you afford to? Do you have the down payment? Can you make the payment? Why wouldn't you buy? So that's the first piece, is actually having a discussion and finding out where you're at, because most people that are buying for the first time don't realize there are programs available. There are, you don't have to have 20% down to buy a home. That's a myth out there that people still think is true.
Yep.
They think they need, they come to me and say, well, we've saved 150,000, but to buy what we want, it's going to be 250,000. You don't need that 150,000. We're there. Let's talk about it. So I think that's the first step. Then secondly is, as a realtor and as a lender, obviously knowing how to layer any programs that are available in your area. Sometimes they're down payment assistant programs. Sometimes there are, for certain job categories that, counties and cities and municipalities can have programs, but you have to go find those programs for your client. And you need to be prepared to sell a seller's agent on that program, on accepting your buyer's offer to do that. So you need to know what you're doing to be able to do that. So I think those strategies are some of the best and strongest, is to educate yourself, educate your client, be educated as lenders, and then as a team, go in and find what's best for the individual property buyers.
Okay. Good point. Taffy?
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. Working with my, lender partners has been fabulous because, as I said, I was a former, teacher. So I've been able to get my students, former students who are now adults and still call me Mrs. Maurer, by the way. And they came, they've come out of Section 8 housing because that was the area I taught in, and they're buying homes, and working with my lender partners to educate them and to really find the best loan programs for them has been an amazing feeling for me. I mean, it's almost like a full circle for me. And they still, we check in and I say, call me Taffy. And they go, oh, no, I could never do that, Mrs. Maurer. I just check in on their house, but we can do it. And it can be done in California. It can be done working with good lenders.
But any of the other ladies want to jump in, or want to go to another question?
I think like really researching the grants, some local and state associations, realtor associations offer grants to like help with some down payment assistance too. So it's just doing that research because there's so much out there that if you're working with the right person, that can help tie that together for you.
Okay. Right. Rosanna, Alma, you guys got anything you want to add, or
We always have something to add, but I don't want to go.
All right.
I said it's just important to have the right lending partner, right? I mean, and you have to, like Sher said, customize for each client. So you have to have, your arsenal of people in your back pocket that have opportunities for different levels of buying. And, again, going back to telling people when they say they're going to wait or they don't have enough money or whatever the case may be, like you said, it's like, you have to be completely informed before you answer that way. And number two, people need to lower their expectations sometimes, right? If it's your first house you're buying, you're not going to get the mansion for, a couple $1 million. But guess what? You got to get your foot in the door somewhere. So it's wise to advise your clients that like doesn't have to be your forever home, but it's your first step. And this is your first step in order to get to the second step. If you don't take the first step, you're not going to the second step. Right.
True. Yeah.
And,
very
you
true.
can sit, you can sit and wait and ponder, but I'm going to buy it or somebody else is going to buy it. Nobody's waiting for you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to say quickly about that the more we do collaborate with our lenders and understand those different products out there, basically what that amounts to in value, and we're having lots of conversations about what value are we bringing, right, as realtors, what that does really to that buyer who did not think that they were ready to buy. And they're having a conversation with you, and all of a sudden you let them know about a product that they had no clue about. But guess what? That's our job to make sure that we are educating ourselves, collaborating with our lenders, and thinking outside that box. That's what I love about non-QM, is that there really is the power of yes, and the difference that you make in the life of not only the immediate family, but again, those generations that will follow because of it.
Yeah, great. I appreciate that. Whenever I've heard that power of yes statement before. We didn't put her up to that, we swear to God. Yeah, so let's move over into another hot topic issue, especially out in your area and ours where we're based in Florida. Property insurance increases. I mean, they have gotten just incredibly expensive over the last couple of years, partly due to climate change and other issues. But how do you, as realtors and and also mortgage brokers, work with your clients to navigate those costs and help them find like the best coverage options and helping them understand what property insurance is for?
So, I mean, that's such a multi-layered question, but we're all up against, so Texas and Florida are really in a bind. And I know, so I sit on the National Association of Realtors Insurance Committee this year and also next year. And, they're hyper focused on Florida and Texas because of your hurricane, storm issues and flooding. But California is rapidly becoming a crisis Yeah,
from
crisis
wildfires.
because of the fires. And so they're not focusing as much on us as they should be, but like, because I was just in the meeting in May and they were kind of saying that we're not in crisis yet. But for instance, my family, like I said, has been in business for a long time. We've had insurance with the same company for 50 years and we're getting canceled on multiple properties. And so in my opinion, that's a crisis. And just to give you a perspective, Taffy's in the foothills and there's outlying areas like, California encompasses a lot up to Lake Tahoe, and that we have fires burning right now, but we're in the central city and we don't have fires in the central city except for whatever, might happen in a garage or something. But now they're starting to get very hyper focused on the fact that we have big trees. So we have humongous trees in downtown Sacramento, which are like 100+ years old. So, the insurance companies are flying drones over properties and they're coming back and saying, oh, you have a big tree in front of your house. Well, guess what? The whole city has big trees in front of their houses. So where are we going to go with this? And then the second part that, for the lenders too, to have the conversation with their agents that they're working with, their realtors, is that in terms of the condition of the property, they're very hyper focused right now on updated electrical. That is a big topic for the insurance companies. So when you're looking at a property and you're the lender, you want to ask that question to your realtor, what's going on with the electrical? Because in Sacramento, we have many, many homes built pre-1950. So the electrical's old. I mean, most of the people don't have updated electrical. So this is something that has to be focused, because if you go into a contract and you get everything done and then they go to get insurance, and that's the other thing, you got to start looking at insurance the minute you get the contract. And then you go and you say, oh, this is original box from 1938, right? And you got tube and knob wiring, it's going to throw a red flag, because now the insurance companies are looking at the electrical and looking at the roofs, and they're flying the drones to look at all of that. And so it's really important as lenders and as realtors that we do that homework, because it's a topic for, well, especially in California, they're finding every which way not to insure you. So you got to do your homework.
Yeah. Taffy, I think you were next.
Yeah, I want to add to that because, Sacramento is known as the city of trees. I mean, that is their name. And to have this happen is just, that is absolutely unacceptable. But working in the foothills and turning down my street and seeing a big fire cloud up there, it's a ways from me. It's in a different county, but it looked like it was at the end of my street. And it's huge. It's going up thousands and thousands of feet right now. Fires started by people, arsonists. Okay. So, we don't want, a lot of these fires are started by arsonists, by people who have a mental health crisis as well. But I also wanted to say, working with my lender partners, and I have multiple ones for different situations, they have been very proactive in jumping in and helping me find the best fire insurance policy for my buyers. And I just want to say they've cultivated contacts, and I really appreciate it, because I've cultivated mine, but they have, and then we put all these quotes together, and we are delivering value like crazy, because now in California, our fourth contingency is insurance.
Yes.
Right, great. Let's move over to, we had a question pop up that ties into something we were discussing earlier, and then sort of our next topic, which is the use of technology and digital tools that are out there now. How's that transforming the way that you guys work with brokers and home buyers? And particularly, somebody was interested in the area of educating the home buyers that we've been talking about. What types of marketing channels are you guys using? Are you doing, home buyers seminars? Any tactics that you guys could share?
I think the biggest thing is Zoom, because it brings everybody together, right? You can have your mortgage broker, your buyer, and everybody together. So everybody's on the same page moving forward and knows what the plan is to get to the end of the transaction. So like having that technology has really helped us come together as a group and be able to service them and give more benefits. And I think collaborating, right? It's given us the way to be able to share documents like DocuSign and sit down and explain. You can go through your whole document on the screen and have everybody together and know exactly what they're signing and explain that. So I think that's been one of the biggest benefits over the last 4 or 5 years, is bringing us all together. Like right now with us, you have someone in Placer, Sacramento, Ventura, we're all here collaborating together. And that technology wasn't available to us until, recently.
Very true. All right.
So how are you as lenders? The question I have for you is, how are you showing up? So how are you showing up at your local association? How are you collaborating with them? How are you being involved? How are you engaged with like your local women's council, which we're always going to advocate for? And like, what are you doing in your community? Because as you all know, we're in a relationship business. So that's the most important. And like Donelle said, take advantage of creating home buyer workshops that you could do on Zoom or whatever it is, but you partner, with your people to do this. But first and foremost, when I get phone calls, which we all get many phone calls from lenders asking for our business, I ask them 2 questions. Are you a member of the local association? And are you a member of Women's Council? And if you don't answer yes to both, then I say, when you join, you can call me back. So it's really important to build the relationships, because that's how people get to know you and trust you, because it's all about trust in our industry also.
Okay. Great answers. Anybody else want to jump in on that one, or any special tactics that you guys are doing differently? All right. Guess not. All right. So let's move over to diversity. That's again another issue that's kind of important, especially with California. You guys have every ethnic and racial group, I think, pretty well represented out there. So how do you tell your approaches to meet the unique needs of people from different cultural demographic groups? What advice do you have also for mortgage brokers who may not be as experienced in working in that area? Alma, let's throw that over to you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I love diversity, because it really, where you want to start the conversation is by asking questions and listening. I mean, really listening, because what you need to do, everyone has a different background, right? I come from a very diverse background. So for me, those conversations are easy, but they're not for everybody. And it's just a matter of starting the conversation to kind of get an idea what your buyer needs are, what their background is, what those nuances are, because we have cultures that are very, very different. We have, cultures that were not here, let's say 25 years ago. And now they're very much part of our communities, and we need to make sure that we're honoring them by really getting to understand them. In fact, one of the designations that we probably all on this call have is at home with diversity. And that was one of the biggest conversations that we had, is really get to know them, understand their culture, understand that what we do in our American culture may be insulting to them, right? So it's really getting to know their culture, and you do that by asking and again by taking some of these courses. But the other thing really is effective communication, because again, we may be used to communicating in a certain manner, and they may need to be communicated, whatever their cultural background is. We're so into technology and, texting and all of that, but guess what? They may not be. They may want someone to pick up the phone and call, and they may want to actually meet in person. Which is fantastic, again, because I believe that once they truly understand that what you are looking to do is to get to know them and to really listen to what their needs are, that's the first step in creating that rapport with them. And that goes a long way in doing so. is having those conversations. So again, then once you know that, then you can give them that personalized service. It may be a family where you know, they come from a culture which is where they have multi-generations in one home.
Mhm.
Then you want to make sure that we're looking for two things. One, obviously, that type of home for them, as well as the best loan type for them.
Mhm.
So again, going back to, you know, being educated on the different loan types, that's really, really important. And what that does is, as you educate them, you're opening up their eyes to things that are important to them, but things that they hadn't even considered as an option, right?
Mhm.
So that's really, really important. One of the things that I think about too is, again, in different types of loan options, right? So there's one out there, which is like the USDA, and I don't know why it's top of mind, so somebody needs to hear this, but those USDA loans, which are, if you're in a rural area, you can get 100% financing for a
Mhm.
home because it's located in a rural area.
Yep.
And someone who has that need, all of a sudden now they're thinking again, they've got to have $150,000 down, and they realize, oh wait, I don't need that. Wait, what? And so knowing those parameters, the you know, the financial restrictions and stuff, if there are those, super important. But really, when it all comes down to it, diversity is getting to know them personally, getting to know their culture, and treating them with honor and respect, honoring their culture. And so anyway, super important, but collaborating with the lender who also has that type of background is very critical.
Yep. Fully agree. Anyone else want to jump in on that, or?
Diversity means a lot of things too. We talked a lot about culture and which kind of goes to ethnic type of diversity, but we have other types of diversity too. There's age diversity, there's generational diversity, there's sexual orientation diversity. There's a lot of diversity that is important to educate yourself as lenders and realtors so that you are familiar. I took the At Home with Diversity course, and I was laughing in a couple of portions because I have prided myself on my ability to, you know, be very open to all discussions and fair housing and always being fair and equal and offering equal opportunities. But I found places in my own self where I needed to do some improvement on understanding certain buyers and their desires and needs, and handicap buyers. That's an area that I was not as versed in and did not understand some of the nuances of, and age related buyers and some of the nuances that are there. So it's really important. Again, a lot of this stuff always goes back to education. We just have to always be up to date and keeping ourselves abreast of the latest information available and making sure we share that.
And that's a good segue to our next question, since we're talking about the future. What are the current market trends that you folks are going to have probably the biggest impact over the next couple of years in California? And what do you think both brokers and lenders should be preparing for? And that can be not just California, if you want to talk nationwide as well, but I know California is, you know, your areas of expertise, but.
Yeah, I think that was I was going to start that one out, and I'm going to say right now, the NAR settlement is a market trend. It is. It's a market trend. It's all we talk about, and it's an opportunity as a trend. It's an opportunity for us to show our value as realtors, and the ones that can step up and do that are the ones that are going to not only just survive, we're going to thrive. We're going to thrive. We're going to just knock it out of the park. So it's a time where everybody needs to look and say, am I going to stay in this business what do I need to do, and who do I partner with to help us all, to elevate us all in the industry. So that's a huge trend right there. The other thing is, can we say high fives? Lower interest rates. We know they're coming. High fives, high fives. To see those high fives made me so happy, you know.
Yeah,
And you know, we are producing realtors, all of us. So we detect the subtlest change. All of a sudden, you know, our phone goes ring, 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 and all of a sudden it stops. I'm like, what just happened? You know, something
rates
just
went up.
happened. Yeah, something happened. A war broke out. Somebody attacked somebody. The market took a dive, whatever. But I mean, we literally feel it. But we're so excited about those lower rates. I am not an economist, but I see a recession coming. I just see a recession coming. I don't like what I see. I'm hoping it's not coming, but I feel it is. And with the recession coming is going to come higher unemployment. Have I lived through a bunch of recessions? Yes, I have. Have I lived through, there's realtors on, right here on this webinar that have lived through some a big recession, and have come out on the other side and been fine. It was not pretty, but this will be a recession. And so we have to be prepared for it. We have to be ready to educate people on it and work with our lender partners even closer, so that we're all giving the same message. So I have my lender partners, we tag team these buyers. They don't even know what hit them, because we're saying the same thing, but we're just saying a little different language. But I'm talking to my lenders, and then they are calling about something, and then I'll call in and they'll say, well, that's funny. Brett just called me. Oh, and then they don't even know what hit, but they have to. So because they're being bombarded. And we have to give them the real deal.
Right. Let's move on because we're getting close towards, we got 15 minutes time. So let's touch upon the partnership between realtors and mortgage brokers. Rosanna, let's start with you. Do you have any best practices for building and working and building out a strong relationship with a broker partner? And if so, what do you find are sort of the key elements of a successful collaboration with a mortgage broker?
Right. So being in business as long as we have, like I tell everybody all the time, I try to spread the love because we got a lot of people that are always after us, and it's difficult, but it's most important somebody that communicates. I love when my lenders give me, well, first of all, when I send out an offer, I always include my lender on the email so that they can chime in as to the qualification or approval of the client and give background, and they automatically have the contact information for the listing agent if I'm representing the buyer. And it's really important to communicate. Even if you don't have an update, just say, this is what we're at right now, and you should have some type of system in place to give like automatic updates. The worst thing is to not hear from your lender or not get a response right away. And look, we all are in this business together, and we all have to work when our clients need us. And that's pretty much 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Yep. So if you're not up to the task of being our partner in communication and timely updates and timely, processes, then you might have to look for another job. But I'm just saying that to be successful in this business, it's about building relationships where we can trust and we know that you have our backs and our clients' backs, right? And so that all is a part of the relationship with the client and us, and the communication, which is vitally important. I think that's like the number one thing. And of course, you're going to get to know the expertise of your lender and so on. And, I'm willing to give people a chance when they're first starting out and everything, but those are really, you have to be high level communicator. That's first and foremost for me, because I cannot take it when I send an email out and then I don't get an answer back for a day or 2 days. It's like, that's not acceptable to me. And the thing is that, how are you partnering with your realtor? Because, you want to be with an effective negotiator, right? Because if we you don't get the deal accepted, you don't have a deal to do alone.
Yep.
So, it's really important that, we're constantly working together to get to the end goal of closing that deal so everybody's happy. So yeah, communication to me is key.
Okay. The rest of the ladies, anybody got anything else to add to that, or?
I'm gonna second Rosanna. If you call, like if you're calling, answer the phone. Like we're all working together. If we have a question, there's a reason we need to get it answered to move forward. So be available, just like the client, we all have to be on the same page together working towards. And if there's no communication, then I'm definitely gonna find another partner to work with in the future.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then given your market out there, I mean, you guys always have bidding wars going on. How do you work with your mortgage broker to handle those particular types of situations?
They sit down with the clients and the buyers and kind of look at the different options, what best suits. Like if we do this, this is what we're looking at. So like sitting down and writing that, and that, giving the information. If you can provide the information, then people have the ability to make the right choice for them.
All right.
Getting the offer accepted, it is so important on a multiple offer situation. If that lender does make the phone call that Rosanna alluded to, because they're right in the email, and they're not my preferred lender. These are the buyer brings their lender. Yeah. I don't know, ladies, how does that feel when the buyer brings their lender and you've never heard of the lender? We don't know. So I'm immediately calling the lender. I'm in one right now where the lender won't even communicate with me. He only communicates to the buyer. I was like, I need you right now because we're coming back to do some more negotiations. And so they need to communicate with all of us, but they brought their own buyer, one of their friends. So that, and he could have an opportunity to earn business from me, but he's not getting any business from me. So really it's how you show up. That is so important.
All right, great. I'm going to have our last kind of predetermined question that we developed as a group here for Sher. Let's talk a little bit more about how the industry can help increase female representation in all parts of the mortgage industry: brokers, lenders, leadership, realtors. What do you think can help move the needle there?
Well, first of all, I love this question. Nothing gets me more excited than women in leadership roles. And when we were talking amongst ourselves, planning all this, that was one of the things I said. The dynamic has always been not that the women were in the leadership roles and in even like maybe the higher money making roles, if you will, in the advancement roles where you can advance. That glass ceiling was kind of in place, and we've made a lot of strides in the right direction. But lending and real estate, while we have a lot more women than we ever have had before, I think we still are struggling with the promotion of women within our fields. So I think one way to do that is to start early and get involved in community education, community education of young people, young women, especially, and men, because men are part of this conversation too. It's not just women. And making sure that those STEM classes, the things that help maybe gear you toward being better at the math. I'm terrible. I'm not a math person. So I will never be a lender. You will never see me applying to have anything to do with lending. Not my deal, not my gig. I bless all of you. When I find good lenders, I respect you from the depths of my soul. But making sure that women have those opportunities young so that they can build those skills and build that confidence to move into the role, and then welcoming one another. And women have to support other women. That can be an issue sometimes, and we're part of an organization, as you may or may not know, Women's Council. That is one of the tenets of our organization. We are not crabs in a barrel. We do not pull one another down. We lift one another up. And that's what women need to do for each other, because that will help us all do better.
Good analogy.
Yes, very well said.
All
I
right.
love that.
Well, let's turn to some questions that were submitted from people who RSVP'd in advance. I think some of them may be here. So what's sort of the biggest deal breakers that are out there when you're dealing with a new or existing mortgage broker if you're just starting to work with someone? I think you guys hinted at some of it, like the lack of communication, but
Mhm.
what tell us from your experiences?
Not being able to perform to the timelines. You know, you have your appraisal not having things come in and complicating the transaction.
Withholding information. I have had lenders
Oh.
withhold bad news because nobody wants to give you bad news,
Mhm.
or there's an issue or there's a problem. But the longer you withhold that information, the worse that becomes. I can take bad news. We can then
Mhm.
figure out a solution. There's always some solution. It may not be a solution that works for everyone, but there is a solution.
Mhm.
So being quick to recognize that there is a problem and then to share that with the people involved so that we can find a solution.
I agree. It's it's what, like, going back to communication again. So, you know, when like Cher said, if you have an issue come up as a lender, like with with the buyers, you know, you might be able to share it with me or with us, and we might be able to come to a resolution together. Maybe there's not a resolution, you know, if somebody quits their job and they didn't tell anybody and you find out. But other than that, maybe we can find a resolution together, but you have to talk, you have to communicate and let us know, because you know, sometimes we can resolve it together.
That's it. And that, I think, is the key in that collaboration. I've learned if it's bad news, get it out there, communicate it quickly. What I have found, even in the toughest situations, unless it just wasn't meant to be, that if you communicate that, there's always some way to address it, to overcome it. And that's the key as far as collaboration, because it could be vice versa, right? As a realtor, we may come up against an issue. And so I'm quick to communicate with my lender to let them know, hey, I've got this situation that has come up. How can we together work on a solution, a workaround that then can resolve this? And it really is amazing to me how literally 9 times out of 10, it can be resolved. And if it's just not meant to be, then at least you know that you, as the realtor, represented your buyer to the best of your ability, and so did the lender. So it speaks, again, it is, you know, we're a team. That's how I look at it. We're a team working together, and the stronger each of us are in our area of expertise, then the better we can represent our clients, the buyers, right?
Yep.
So the better we communicate, and especially the difficult things, then the sooner we can resolve them, and we become heroes to those buyers who were in a panic. And really, that's the other thing, is that in that collaboration, how we speak about one another to that client brings great peace. If the lender has called, you know, my client and has said to them, you know, this is an issue, I'm quick to let them know, look, this is an excellent lender. And yes, that may be an issue right now. However, we will work towards resolving it. And it instills that confidence, but more than anything else, it gives peace to that buyer who is in a panic thinking, oh my gosh, the sky is falling.
Yeah.
And really, we can fix it.
Great. Well, and you kind of picked up on something that another question that came in, it was, which is when you're working with a lender referral partner that's new to you, what is that top needle mover, the thing that really says, aha, this is somebody I want to continue working with? You know, they know what they're doing. Open
For
question
me?
to no, it's
Oh,
an open question for
okay,
everybody.
open question. I was just gonna say really quick, sorry, Taffy.
No, you go right ahead, Alma. I'll go after you.
I was just gonna say, be a person of your word.
Mhm.
If you promise something, do it.
Deliver.
If something comes up and you can't, don't just sweep it under the carpet. Communicate that. And I'm always amazed at a new lender that I'll work with that says I can do these things and they actually do them. Okay. I know that I can place my clients' welfare, right? Their loan, their future in your hands because I can trust you. Taffy, sorry.
No problem. I just want to know that the needle mover for me is, are you showing up? Are you going to stay in this industry?
Mm-hmm.
Are you showing up? Are you going to stay in this industry? Because I need to have people. I've
Mm,
given
yeah.
so much business to lenders that then disappear, just disappear. And it's like, they didn't even say goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, where'd you go? Oh, I moved, I'm surfing now, whatever. No, I need to know you're going to be here. So I have them right now and
Yep.
I'm very comfortable. Doesn't mean I wouldn't get somebody else, but I need to know that it's super important to me because all of us right here on this panel, we're in this business and we're not going anywhere.
Yep.
Not in the business.
All right. Well, that kind of wraps up all the predetermined questions. We'll give a little time for people to submit some questions. There was one earlier question. I don't know. I mean, it's a little late in the game here, but do any of you do any work with reverse mortgage purchases?
Very little.
Mm.
Very little. Okay. So
Sher
Tom,
said
will
she does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have had a few situations with
Yeah.
reverse mortgages.
Okay, so we'll send your information to the person that asked that question. I'm not quite sure what they're hoping for, but maybe they were looking for somebody to talk to. Um, so we've talked a little bit again about the key being across the board partnership, and I think that's a good entry point on some slides that I'm going to show you guys now. I alluded to a little bit earlier. So partnership is also a key tenet with us, and we truly believe we're here to be a partner for growth, both with working with realtors and with our broker partners. And we kind of do that in 4 ways. We didn't talk about our turn times and products specifically, but we have a very streamlined loan process across the board, from both paperwork to the technology we use to process everything that we do. We have a very knowledgeable group of account executives, underwriters, everything. So we know our products in and out. We're completely dedicated to getting into the closing table as fast as we can and making sure that we can make that mortgage work for somebody. And as I alluded to with Imperial Fund, the last 2 tenants, because we are our own securitizer, particularly in the non-QM space, it means we do all of our own proprietary underwriting guidelines. So we accept the risk of whatever those lending terms are that we're going to offer to a borrower. And we have an extensive secondary department that is constantly monitoring the market to see, what new niche products might be available or needed that are either offered by the government or that we may create ourselves. So all those collectively are kind of why we use this term about us being your partner for growth. And we also do that through a series of broker education components that we do, such as things like this particular special topic discussion with top realtors who work with brokers. It's rare that we get the realtor voice. Usually it's just the lender and the broker talking. So we wanted to get, an extra component that's really part of the big triangle here when it comes into the home buying industry. We also do an orientation at the beginning, usually of each month. And that's initially for our new partners who've joined with us and got an approved broker package. But we also invite our existing partners just as a bit of a refresher in terms of our loan products, our technology, and all the different types of services that we offer. And then usually in the middle of the month, we do a special topic or a deep dive on a particular product. We're going to be doing a multi-part series starting next month, or sorry, later this month, on dealing with high net worth borrowers. So we're going to be looking first and foremost at jumbo loans. We'll be looking at asset utilization later, and we're still taking a look at what we're going to do in in October. And then we're going to be looking again at, we'll do a fall housing forecast. We do this every spring and fall with Rick Sharga. He's one of the most knowledgeable people in the industry about whatever's going on, frequently cited in just about every major industry and non-industry publications. So we're glad to have a really good working relationship with him, and he joins us pretty regularly to tell us what's going on. And then lastly, for those people who are watching and are curious about working with us, we'd encourage you guys to scan the QR code to become a partner. If you don't have time to do it now, we'll be sending out the presentation. You can scan it at your leisure as well. And if you go to admortgage.com, there's a big old button up there that says become a partner. So we try to make it as easy as we can to help you guys find whatever it is you're looking for on our website. And we had an additional question come in. Okay, so yeah, Tom, we're going to send you Shar's information about the reverse mortgage so you guys can connect. Oh, and then someone's giving us a nice thank you. So we appreciate the acknowledgement from LOs and brokers. We're really education of brokers, borrowers, buyers is ultimately one of the major things that we here is at A&D Mortgage believe in. It's one of the things we think that really helps differentiate us from other lenders. We know it's more than just about closing a loan. It's about building lifelong relationships, because if you do a good job on their first loan, they're going to come back for you for either their next purchase, the investment loan, the refinance. I mean, you ladies obviously know, I'm sure you've worked with the same buyers multiple times. This is a relationship industry, and it's something that we absolutely believe in here at A&D Mortgage. So, and again, I want to thank everybody for their time today. I mean, it's been really interesting discussion with each of you ladies. You've got some great perspectives. So with that, I just want to thank each of you. And then for those people who, before you log out, there'll be a brief 5 or 6 question survey. Just let us know how we did. If there's any topics that you are interested in us exploring, or inviting the ladies back to do another roundtable on other areas of the realtor broker relationship, we'd be more than happy to get that kind of advice from you. So with that, I want to wish you guys all a great rest of the month. Hopefully before the next one, we will see some high fives. So with that, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
A&D Mortgage. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having us.